PlaneSafetyPodcast. Now this is a diary episode, something a little bit different, because you may notice that this is also on YouTube. It's the first time I've tried recording on YouTube, something a bit different for me. And not something I intend to continue in any way, because if you are watching the YouTube video, you'll notice that I really don't have a face for video. More for podcasting, I think it's okay. But, do you know what? Everyone else was posting videos this week, so I was inspired. Captain Jeff, of course, who is here in the UK having a good time by all accounts, has posted a few videos of his adventures, as has Dr. Steph over in London, and I hope she's having a great time too. But I thought, you know what, why don't I give YouTubing a bash? Anyway, I'm here. It's Thursday the 14th of July, and I'm here in the lounge in Athens Airport, Athens International Airport, just waiting for my British Airways airline back home to London after a busy 4 days on the road. So, what have I been up to? Well, let's rewind the clock. In fact, let's rewind the clock back about 6 months, when Jeff and the gang confirmed that they were coming over for Farnborough International Air Show, which is, of course, this weekend, this coming Saturday, and they're already here, as I said. So when I heard they were coming over, I thought, I definitely want to be a part of that. And then I thought, you know what? July time, mid-July, is usually the time that I have my sim recurrence, my 6 monthly sims. I generally do it around about the Farnborough Air Show time, so I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could be in Farnborough, because our training centre is at Farnborough Airport. I thought, now wouldn't it be great if I could be in Farnborough at the sim for that week that the guys are here? So I threw off an email to training scheduler and said, hey, how about it? Do you think you could schedule me for sim that particular week, Monday to Thursday? And lo and behold, they replied and said, yeah, why not? So I thought, hey, great result, fantastic. So the sims they're usually in the morning, so that would give me the afternoon and the evenings free to go partying with Jeff and the gang. So I thought, fantastic, that worked out really well. And then, of course, I got my press pass for the Farnborough Air Show. So I thought, brilliant, I'll be able to go to the show, go and do some interviews, record some stuff, have a great time there, look at the aeroplanes, go drinking and partying with the guys. So that worked out really, really well. So wind the clock forwards a bit to last Friday evening to be precise, and I'm at home looking forward to a fun week ahead. And I just checked my company phone, my iPhone, and there was an email from training saying, sorry, we haven't got enough people next week, so your sim is cancelled and you've just got normal flying duty. And I thought, oh no, you're kidding me. So I immediately emailed them back and said, really, is there no way around that? And they said, yeah, sorry, we haven't got enough people to cover the flight, so we need you. I thought, oh, swear word. And then I thought, well, okay, I'll try something else. So I called rostering and said, you know what, I've got some vacation in November, 5 days vacation I particularly don't want. Any chance that I could have vacation next week instead, Monday to Thursday? And they said, no, absolutely not. Not a chance in hell. So I thought, damn it. So that was another avenue. So I thought, okay, well, maybe if I'm just staying close to home, maybe I'll have a few overnights in the London area. I'll be able to at least go meet up with some of the guys, perhaps one night. But no, would you believe it? Monday came around and they were having me flying east, right away from London, in the opposite direction. So I thought, you know, it's just, the gods are not smiling on me this week. It's not going to work out, is it? So I was really, really peed off, to say the least. Oh, hello, pretty lady behind me on the YouTube video. Very nice. What was I saying? Oh yeah, hugely peed off. So, okay, so Monday came around and the first flight, it was quite an early show, a 6 a.m. show, which is not quite a wackle by 1 minute. The wackle finishes at 05:59. That was the other way I might get out of it. If I had 2 consecutive wackles, that means I would have to have 36 hours off, which includes 2 local nights. And since I'm only on a 4-day trip, if I had 2 consecutive wackles on days 1 and 2, that would have been effective my trip over, and they would have had to have sent me home. But so day 1 was not quite a wackle. And what happened on day 1? We ended up Down in Nice, I met up with a very good friend of mine flying with. He's a great chap, so we had a lot of fun. Ended up down in Nice where it was absolutely swelteringly hot, really hot and sticky, up to around about 30, 31 degrees Celsius, which in Fahrenheit is about 3 million degrees Fahrenheit, I think. So super hot, and the humidity, the dew point, so it was 31 degrees-ish Celsius, and the dew point was up at around 23 or something like that, so it was really hot and sticky. The shirt, my stinky shirt here that I'm wearing, is sticking to my back. So that was day one, nothing particularly exciting happened there. Then what happened on day two? Day two, right, that's where it really started to fall apart. Day two, the schedule was to head up to St. Petersburg in Russia, and then from St. Petersburg to Moscow. So really heading in the wrong direction, heading away from London. I thought at least from Nice maybe there's a good chance we'll go back up to London, but no, heading out to St. Petersburg. But actually that was okay, because it's been quite a number of years since I've overnighted in St. Petersburg. But well, that quickly changed because they added an extra flight onto the end of that day. It was originally just going to be one flight, but we did end up, in fact, in Domodedovo, one of the big Russian airports. So what happened there? Oh yeah, we stayed at this hotel in Moscow. It's not one of the usual crew hotels. In fact, I've never heard of it before. Something called the Nabat Palace Hotel or something along those lines. Very close to the airport, which is quite handy. As I've said before, one of the big problems we have in Russia is getting stuck in the traffic jams from the airport into the city centre, where we usually stay at the Holiday Inns. It's not uncommon to spend 2, 3, even 4 hours before stuck in traffic, and I could just do without that. But anyway, this hotel was a bit of an unknown, but it was quite close to the airport, so you know, you never know with a new hotel. Might be great, might be not great. But actually, I'm not even sure what it was. Was it a good hotel? Was it a crap hotel? I'm still in two minds. It was, first of all, we had to drive up this dirt track to get to it. So I thought, oh my goodness, and we pulled up and they were doing a lot of construction work outside the hotel. They were building gazebos and all kinds of stuff out in the hotel grounds. It looked nice from the outside, I must say, very grand. Hence the name Something or Other Palace. So we went up inside, and it was totally over the top. All sort of gold chairs and gold leaf ceilings and big ornate mirrors, and all very nice and fancy, but a little bit OTT for my particular personal taste. But hey, I don't mind, I can live with that. And actually, the room was very comfortable. Nice, comfy bed, good working internet, which seems to be a bit of a rarity these days in the hotels. But it had good quality, fast internet. So I like that. And it also had a nice swimming pool. But what it didn't have was any staff, and particularly any staff who spoke English. It seems the only people who worked there were two of them, and neither one of them spoke a word of English, so that was a bit of a hassle just checking in. Eventually established that there was a swimming pool and that it was open till 9 PM, so I thought, great, I'll relax, I'll go for a swim, maybe a sauna. I didn't fancy much going out for a run. But, so I went down to the swimming pool at some point, and it was just totally dark, and there was just no one around, all the lights were switched off. I thought, well, I want my swim. So I kind of went fumbling around in the dark and entered some sort of service cupboard which had something in Russian. I'm sure it said something like no entry. I thought, well, do you know what, to hell with it, because there's no one else here. So I went in and just kept pressing switches until the lights came on. And that was really nice. I had a nice little swim. It's this weird swimming pool. It's quite a nice size, but it was built into the basement, so it kind of went into like a cave in the wall. It was quite unique, quite nice though, nice warm temperature, jolly good swim. That nice swim, and then went up to dinner. Now I was taking a bit of a risk here. I thought, you know what, it could be, who knows what quality the food's going to be. And they had a menu, it was all in Russian, but luckily they had pictures, so I could just point at the picture of what I wanted. So I pointed at a bowl of borscht soup, and I pointed at a picture of what I assumed to be maybe pork ribs or lamb ribs or something like that. And I pointed, in fact I just said, and I want a Coca Light, Diet Cola, Diet Coke. And he said, no Diet Coke, just big Coke. Yeah, okay, I don't want that, so just bring me some water instead with some gas. sparkling water, which he brought me. And I don't know if he scooped it out of the toilet or what, but it was the most disgusting water I've ever had in my life. It's horrible. So I didn't touch that too much. But actually the soup came out and that was pretty good, not too bad. And then the ribs, the pork ribs I think they were, came out. And you know what? They were fantastic. They were absolutely lovely. Lightly spiced and cooked to perfection. Oh, just lovely. The only complaint was there weren't enough of them. I could have eaten a small mountain of those things. They were fantastic. So I had a really lovely meal. For not an awful lot of money either, with the exchange rates with the ruble. Yeah, even though the pound's taken a dive recently, it's still reasonably healthy exchange rates on the ruble. So I was able to have a nice meal for not too much money at all. So that was nice. And then got a half decent night's sleep for a pretty early start in the morning. And then breakfast. Well, it's the polar opposite really, breakfast. We went down quite early. Again, there was absolutely no one around. I had like a card with pictures on it, so I pointed at an omelette and I pointed at some orange juice. This is very lazy of me. I should really learn some Russian, considering how much I go there. But hey, I'm a typical Brit. Don't speak foreign languages. So he brought out an omelette, that was fine. Some orange juice, which I kind of glugged down because I was quite thirsty. He said, okay, can I point at the orange juice again? Can I have another orange juice? No, just one orange juice. Really? Just one orange juice? That's all I'm allowed? Yes, just one. Okay, well, can I have some more of your delicious water then, because I'm quite thirsty. So of course some more of his toilet water came out and I had to make do with that. But that was nice. And then it all kind of fell apart from there. I'd left my bag, my suitcase up at reception for them to look after. In fact, at her suggestion, the girl on the desk said, pointed, leave your suitcase there, leave your suitcase there. Okay, I'll leave it there, fine. And I went back up and said, okay, time to go, can I have my suitcase now? And she looked around and it wasn't where I'd left it, so I assumed she'd put it in a back cupboard or something. Oh, hello you. So, I said to her, where's my suitcase? I left it here. And she kind of shook her head like, no, not here. But it was here 5 minutes ago when you told me to leave it here. And then she said in her she spoke a little tiny bit of English. She said, your colleague will take it. Well, I don't think he did, but alright, I popped back downstairs to the breakfast room and asked. So I popped back downstairs and said, hey, Neil, did you take my suitcase at all? No. Okay, hang on. Went back upstairs. No, he hasn't got my suitcase. Where's my suitcase? Oh, you'll leave it in your room. No, I didn't leave it in my room. I left it here with you 5 minutes ago. You must remember, you told me to leave it right there. And she says, no. It's like, right, this isn't funny. Where's my suitcase? What have you done with my suitcase? It's got everything in it. Don't tell me you've lost it or stolen it or... Just get my suitcase. This is too early in the morning to be playing silly games. And then I noticed that our car had pulled up outside. I was like, okay, well maybe the driver came in and took the suitcase out. That would make sense. Okay, so I kind of walked outside over to the driver in the black Mercedes. Hey, you got my suitcase? He spoke pretty good English. No, I've not got your suitcase. Damn, where the hell's my suitcase? So right, I'll go back to the reception and find out where my suitcase is. And as I'm walking back, I notice that there's my suitcase, just in this kind of grassy area, in a tree. Like not up in the tree, but in the bottom of the tree, like hidden. I'm like, what the hell? Why has somebody taken my suitcase and put it in a tree? It's the weirdest thing. So anyway, I got my suitcase. I thought, well, this is too weird. I'm going to have to check my suitcase and make sure no one's put God knows, a bomb in it or drugs or something. So I opened it up and had a good look through, but everything I had that was meant to be in there was in there. So I don't know what the heck that was about. Who knows? Alright, move on with the day, but very strange. So yeah, that hotel was very odd. Oh, and of course they didn't take American Express, which is the card of choice for safe jets. They issue us with American Express. Why American Express, I don't know, because literally nobody takes American Express. At least not the things we use it for, like taxis. Alright, most hotels do take it, but you get the odd one that doesn't. So it was a right palaver finding someone to pay the hotel bill. The company had tried to phone through and pay with a Visa card, but they couldn't. So eventually we had to get our handling agent, Rossero, at the airport to pay on our behalf. So, pretty early in the morning, I could do it all out of this hassle. Anyway, we got to the airport, and where were we heading? Oh yeah, now this is the other interesting thing. We were going to Kiev, in Ukraine. But of course, with the current political situation and the tensions between Ukraine and Russia, you can no longer, for political reasons, for diplomatic reasons, you can no longer fly between the two countries directly. So you can't go from Moscow to Ukraine, or vice versa. You have to make an intermediate stop. So it's just silly political tit for tat, but we've got to lump it, I'm afraid. So the flight was to Ukraine, but we had to stop in somewhere called Gomel, which is in Belarus. Apparently it's Belarus' second city. Very nice place, in fact. I went there a couple of months ago for an overnight. Quite nice, but it's a bit of a pain. You have to land for no good reason. Several passengers on board landed in Gomel, and it's just a paperwork exercise. The customs people come out and you sign, as everywhere in Russia and those Russian states, you sign about 4 million bits of paper. God knows what I'm signing for. Just, alright, put a bit of a squiggle. It took 20 minutes, perhaps maybe 30 minutes to get all the bits of paper signed. Then we can take off again and go to Ukraine, go to Kiev Boryspil Airport, which is the main airport. The other airport actually in Ukraine is Uliani Airport, which is great. If ever you're in Ukraine, in Kiev, go to Giuliani Airport, and at one end they've got a really fantastic aviation museum. I've only seen it from the runways with taxiing past, but it looks fantastic. It's full of these Soviet-era, Cold War-era jets, all these MiGs and Sukhois and the Russian civil jets as well, the Illusions. It looks absolutely fascinating. And these helicopters, the Russian helicopters are absolutely enormous. And it just looks like a lot of fun. And I really like the look, at least, of the Russian aircraft. I think they build really nice looking aeroplanes. Well, sorry about that, everyone. I'm back. If you're watching the YouTube video of this, then you'll see that I'm most definitely no longer in the airport lounge in Athens Airport. I'm somewhere entirely different. So, you know what, a couple of people, whilst I was back there recording that, came and sat either side of me, and I wasn't comfortable yabbering away to myself at the computer. I felt a bit self-conscious, so I paused it, and as I did so, I noticed that my flight had started to board, so I had to pack up and rush off back to get on the BA flight back to Heathrow, which I did. All went swimmingly well. Got back to Heathrow, got in the crew car back up to Luton, where my car was, and luckily at Luton they've got a couple of nice bunk rooms, if you get stranded there, with showers, so I was able to have a nice shower, get changed, get back in the car and go all the way back past Heathrow and down to the curry place where I met up with Nick and Jeff and Steph and Al and a whole bunch of other people, Micah, Brian, Nev, for the first of the APG UK meetups, and what a great time it was. That was over a week ago now. It's now Friday. I won't talk too much about the APG stuff because I'm sure Jeff's going to cover it, but we had a blast. Except to say that one of the highlights, for me at least, was on the Friday I was able to arrange to have a little play in the Hawker simulator at Farnborough. A few weeks ago I wrote an email to the guys at Flight Safety who run the sims. I didn't really expect them to go for it, but I said, hey, I've got some friends coming across from the States, they run this podcast. Would it be possible if we were to go to the sim, if you let us have the simulator for an hour, just to go and have a little play? And I really didn't think they'd agree to it because, these simulators are expensive and they're busy, in constant use. But I was amazed when they came back and said, yeah, no problem. In fact, I would say they were even quite keen. So I was a bit taken aback by that. But anyway, good on them for letting us do that. So we went in and played around with that. Jeff and Steph and I went and had a play. Captain Nick, being the old grumpy curmudgeon he is, he said, oh, bloody hell, enough of those things at work. Why would I want to go and sit in one while I'm on vacation? Grumble, grumble, grumble. So, okay, fair enough. So Captain Owl took his place instead, and I think we all had a good time. And now the reason I mention that is because I took a little bit of video whilst we were there, which I've now spliced together and I've put on YouTube, my first ever YouTube video. So I'm going to put the link to that, if you've not already seen it, the link to that in the show notes to this, or if you're on Twitter you can find it there as well. But it's an amusing little 10-15 minute video for you to check out. But we had a blast. I enjoyed it anyway. I hope the rest of the guys did. I think they did. So that was APG. The whole weekend was filled with laughing and friends and frolics and fun. And like I say, I won't talk about that too much. Maybe in a future podcast if Jeff and the gang don't talk about it on their own podcast. And then, well, I had to leave slightly early. I had to leave on the Saturday after the meetup because on the Sunday I was off early morning on vacation with the family. And that is where I am now. If you can see this beautiful landscape behind me, I'm here on the wonderful island of the Isle of Man, which is absolutely one of my favourite places in the whole world. This is where my wife's family hail from, so we try and come back every year, and it's such a lovely place. The Isle of Man, if you don't know where it is, it's an island. It's about, 30-35 miles in length and maybe 15 across, so it's not a especially big place. It's out here in the middle of the Irish Sea, about 30 or so miles off the coast of northern England, and a similar distance off the coast of Ireland. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place when the sun is shining, as it is now, but it usually isn't. There's a very odd climate here in the Isle of Man. But we've hired a little beach house here, just up on the northeast coast, and it's gorgeous. As you can see behind me, just take a look at this. It's rugged and rocky, and let's go this way, and beautiful. So you can see that the sun's kind of shining into the camera. In fact, if I pick up the computer and kind of sweep around, it's just such a stunning, lovely landscape here. Hang on a second. Go check this out. You can just see the lighthouse probably down there. Going around the coast. Well, I don't know how much of that you can see. Anyway, so we're having a wonderful time. Been here about almost a week already, so we're going to be heading home in a few days' time and back to work. So here with the wife, the two kids, and the mother-in-law as well. But she rather unfortunately had to leave early. She went home this morning. And if you can see the video, you can see by my face that I'm absolutely devastated that the mother-in-law had to leave early. Very sad, very sad. But anyway, enough of me yammering on about this and that. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear about aviation. And there were a couple of things from the last trip that I wanted to talk about that you might be interested in. Certainly interested me. A couple of events to discuss. And the first of these was actually going into Moscow, flying into Domodedovo from, where were we heading in from? St. Petersburg. That's right, St. Petersburg, thank you. And we had a little incident, a little sort of funny thing happened during the arrival. Now, I've got the arrival chart here. If I was slightly more sophisticated, I'd be able to somehow flash it up on the screen, but I can't. For everyone else, I'll try and somehow include a picture of this in the show notes. But check this out. I'm going to hold this up to the screen and point. Hopefully this will work. You can see what I'm talking about. So, here's the arrival that we were flying into Domodedovo. I can't say that word, but it's the Bravo Delta 1 Delta arrival. So it starts up here, comes down, goes over here to this point called Besta. And then what it should do is a left turn towards that point to Rugel, and then a little right turn down to Gekla, down towards the airport. Now what we had that day, there was a very strong, or a pretty strong westerly wind, so blowing from this direction. No, that direction, if I get this right. About sort of 70-80 knots. So a fairly hefty crosswind there, so the aircraft was kind of drifting across to maintain the ground track. So we got to point Besta, and what I would expect then was for it to make some attempt to make a left turn to go towards Rugel. But actually, the aircraft, it didn't really do anything at all. It kind of almost just carried on in a straight line and was letting the wind blow it to intercept that southerly track between Rugel and Gekla. So, and I noticed this, and I said, hey, does that look weird to you? Would you not have expected that to make a bit more of a left turn? But before we could do anything about it, the area controller came on the radio and said, hey, there's a restricted airspace in front of you. Make a left turn immediately, heading 090. So we, of course, did. We're like, oh, blimey, okay, we'll do that. And then we were vectored for the rest of the approach. But I couldn't fathom why the aircraft didn't turn. Now, Rugel, if you can see that, is not labelled as a fly over waypoint. It's been a while since I looked at the Jeppesen key, but I'm pretty sure that's not a fly over waypoint. So when you have IFR waypoints like that, they can be fly by, which generally they are, or fly over. If it's a fly over, then it means you actually have to physically fly over that geographical location. But usually they're fly by waypoints, which means the aircraft will turn slightly early. It will calculate a turning radius and it will turn early to fly past that waypoint rather than directly over the top of it. And you can also see from that chart there that any restricted airspace is not marked on there at all. So we as pilots would have no idea that there's any sort of special airspace there to the south of Point Bester. So I was a little bit surprised. So I'm not sure what went on there, if there was something wrong with the coding in the FMS, if that was meant to be a fly over waypoint, but it wasn't coded as such. But as I say from the chart, it doesn't look to be. But certainly in the future, if I'm flying this arrival again, I can actually, via the FMS, designate a point as a fly over waypoint. I'd need to look at the FMS to see exactly how I do it, but you can take the waypoint, put it in the scratch pad in the bottom left corner of the FMS, then you put a slash sign, and then is it an @ symbol or a 0? I can't remember now. But anyway, that tells the FMS to make that point a fly over waypoint. So the FMS will turn as necessary to fly directly over, which it didn't do in this point. So I've had to write a safety report about that one. I've let SafeJets know, and they'll follow up. Maybe it's a problem here with the Jeppesen charts. Maybe there's something there for Moscow ATC to have a look at. But I can't believe we're the only aircraft to make that mistake. Anyway, it was no big deal. There was no more said about it. And it was a pretty nice day. I could see the ground. I couldn't see what it was possibly on the ground that would be restricted airspace. If it was like a nuclear power station or, I don't know, some politician's house or something. There was nothing on the ground particularly that I could see that would make it a restricted airspace. But apparently it is. So that was that. Then the other one was either that same day or maybe the following day. It was flying into Kiev Borispil Airport, which is one of the two main airports. And now nothing much happened here. This was just something I noticed. So I'm going to hold up again the approach chart. This is for the ILS runway 18 right at Borispil. Again, I'll try and put a picture somehow in the notes. But this concerns the missed approach portion of the ILS. Let me see if I can find a little stick or something. Here we go. I can use this to point with. So here's the ILS final approach track 176. It's a southerly track towards runway 18 right. These are a couple of NDB markers. Now notice this NDB up here to the north called Bravo Oscar. Okay. This dash line here with 218 written on it is the missed approach track. So let's have a look up here to the top of the chart and we can see a description of the missed approach. It says climb on runway heading to 990 feet or above to 2.3 BRP. Don't worry about that bit. Then turn right onto track 218. Fine. Then intercept 003 Bravo Oscar NDB. Now here's the Bravo Oscar up here to the north. Now here's my problem with this, and maybe I'm wrong. Pilots out there, if I've got this wrong, feel free to write in and tell me I've got this wrong. But to my mind, if I was just to read that and fly it, I would initially turn right onto track 218 when flying the missed approach, and then turn further right to head north on a heading of 003 up towards the Bravo Oscar. So a QDM of 003 up towards the Bravo Oscar. Now what was coded in the FMS was that 218 track and then a left turn onto 183, which is a southerly heading. So it looked like it was picking up a QDR, a radial from that NDB beacon of 183, which I initially thought was wrong. But then if you also read this further description here for the missed approach with com failure, I won't read the whole thing out, but that seems to suggest also that you fly this 218 track and then left onto 183 QDR from the beacon. So I have a sneaky suspicion that that's the correct thing to do. However, to my mind, that text description up there does not say that. That says intercept 003 Bravo Oscar. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that can only mean either a heading of 003 or you intercept the 003 QDR, the radial out of the Bravo Oscar. So the 003 radial is obviously coming out to the north. Anything else, then it should say something like the 183 QDR or track 183 or heading 183 or something else. But 003 Bravo Oscar doesn't make any sense to me unless they want you to fly north towards that NDB beacon. So have a look at that on the video. Any other pilots out there, you have a look at that and tell me what you think. Maybe I've got that totally wrong. I'm entirely prepared to admit that. But to my puny brain, that doesn't make much sense. Anyhow, so I've written a little safety report about that one as well. And I'll wait and see what they come back with. And, well, that was the only two things that that cropped up last week, but I thought they were fairly interesting. Maybe you got some thoughts on that. So then I'm just going to leave you now. I don't want to rabbit on too much. The only other thing that I've got for you was something I picked up today. At the Aviation Museum at Ronaldsway Airport here on the Isle of Man. There's only one airport here, Ronaldsway. And if you ever go there, if you're ever here on the Isle of Man, and I highly recommend that you do come here because it's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see behind me. But if you find yourself in the Isle of Man for some reason, then make the effort and pop into the Aviation Museum. It's right there next to the terminal. It's only a tiny little museum. It's like one small hangar, but they've got some very interesting stuff. And a couple of interesting things popped up. The first one, I was chatting to the guide there. He said that during the war, the Second World War, on and around in the waters around the Isle of Man, there were over 400 aircraft crashes. And I think he said only 2 of which were due to enemy fire. The rest of them, 398 odd, were just training accidents. There used to be a couple of airfields on the north side of the island, Jerby and Andreas. I believe they're both now closed down. But there were a lot of crashes here, and in fact, a couple if you're watching the video, just where my finger's pointing, there were 2 hurricanes that were flying over from somewhere on the mainland, flying over in poor weather at very low level, and 2 of them crashed right down there where my finger's pointing. And there were a whole number up on the mountain as well, Snaefell, which is I say mountain, it's a hill really, but the big hill on the centre of the island. There were quite a number of aircraft that crashed up there. Okay, well, I'm not going to rabbit on too much. I'm getting eaten to death now by the bugs and mosquitoes, so I'm going to head back. We've built a nice campfire out on the beach, and we're going to have a bit of a cook-up tonight once the sun goes down. I mean, this place that we've got here, the beach house, is just gorgeous. It could not be closer to the ocean and the beach if we tried. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Get the fire out and roast some marshmallows. So I'll be back some point very soon with a full episode. Don't forget, check out the video I've put on YouTube. You can find the link in the show notes here, or on Twitter, or on the website, of course, www.PlaneSafetyPodcast.com. Do go and check it out there. And hopefully I'm going to be posting a bunch of pictures as well from the Farnborough meetups on the website as well. So do go and have a look at that. If you've got any thoughts or questions, you know where to go. feedback@PlaneSafetyPodcast.com is the email address. I look forward to receiving any comments you've got. But until then, until the next time, have one last look at this gorgeous view. Let me move my ugly face out the way. Wow, look at that view. This is just stunning. Is that not beautiful? You can just see over there towards the hill, the cloud just sitting on top there. I mean, this is probably one of the few days where it's not peeing down with rain in the Isle of Man. Just beautiful. So I'm going to leave you that nice view. Until the next time then, folks, take care, fly safe, and speak to you all again.